Authentication is important because it enables organizations to keep their network secure by permitting only authenticated users to access its protected resources. Angular offers you best authentication services. Hello everyone, I'm Bhavita and I welcome you to this session on Angular authentication. So without further ado, let's get into the agenda for today. We're going to understand what authentication is, and then we're going to look at the prerequisites to perform authentication in Angular. We'll understand what JWT or JSON Web Token is. Next, we'll compare and understand the differences between authentication and authorization. Next, we'll see why we need to use API for authentication. We'll see the usage of Postman tool for testing. Next, we'll use services in our Angular authentication, and we'll have a quick demo of an application using authentication. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to Edureka YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to never miss an update. Also, if you're looking for an online training certification, do check out the link given in the description box below. Firstly, what is authentication? It's basically a process to make sure that the user is identified and verified to access your application. And we need authentication to process and connect a set of identifying credentials with each incoming request. Now, there are few considerations in authentication. Basically, authentication process runs at the start of every application before any of the other code will begin. Next, we have to make sure that the user is identified no matter which system he's using. And this happens with different sorts of credentials. And each credential is frequently in the form of password, which is kept private, and it is known only for a particular user by that system. Now, there are types in authentication. The first type is something that user knows. Say, for example, he might have some information or he might use that information to access a particular application. So this comes under the category of something the user knows. Say, what if, for example, a user is an authenticated user. In that case, he comes under the category of something the user is. And next, he might have something or he might use an authentication code to access a particular application. Here, he comes under the category of something the user has. Let's look into the prerequisites of Angular authentication. Firstly, we have TypeScript. Next, we have command line interface for Angular. Also, we need to make sure that our NPM has been installed and set up in our Angular. Coming to the server side, we have to have Node.js, MongoDB, and MongoExpress. We also need to be sure that we have RESTful APIs to be set up in our application. So without further ado, let's quickly go ahead and have all these in today's application. So here, firstly, go ahead and install your Node.js in order to set up your server side. Do that according to your Windows category. Now, you might have the latest version or LTS version. Use any of it. With that, you can also download MongoDB. Now, make sure you have MongoDB installed by downloading from this particular website. Now, once you do that, you can go back to your MongoDB. Say connect to. Now the next thing that you see is connecting to your server. Make sure you set up a server and connect it. For that, the command that you use is mongod. Now this command is to be given in your command prompt. Once you do that, your MongoDB will also be set up. After that, you have to create a database. Now creating database is easy. Just give a database name and a collection name. Say create database, it will be created. This will finish our MongoDB. The next thing that we have is setting up our Angular CLI. Now in order to set up your Angular CLI, make sure you watch our Angular related videos, link given in the description box below. Now with that, we can further proceed in our today's session. Next, we'll understand what is JWT for authentication. Now, JSON Web Token is something that is crucial to perform our authentication. It will make sure that our authentication is done in a correct and a secure format. A client-side application must always submit your JSON Web Token in authentication header of HTTP request to your backend application. In order for us to authenticate our users from backend, we need to make sure that our JSON Web Token is being used. API Gateway always validates the token on any of our behalf, and we don't even have to write or handle any code related authentication for our API. But it is always important for us to set API settings as our preferred authentication methods. Now, what exactly is authentication in compared to authorization? Authentication is basically a process of determining someone's identification and ensuring that this person is who he claims to be. While authorization is basically a permission for granting that this person is something or someone he wants to be. And if you want to authenticate, he can use login, while if he wants to authorize, he can use registration. Now, authentication is related to server, and server uses authentication when someone wants to access information. Now, say for example, there is a particular set of data that a particular person wants to access. In this case, the person has to be authenticated to access this information. While authorization, he can just be a part of that information when he is authorized to be the part. Authentication is a process when the client uses it when he wants to know that it is the same server that it claims to be. So this can be used in basis of server as well to make sure that the server is also authenticated. While authorization is not this way. Authorization will make sure that the person who's accessing the data is being authorized, and it is frequently used in conjunction. Now let's see what is JSON Web Tokens association with authentication. So basically, in order to authenticate your application, JSON Web Token is used as said earlier. Now it will verify your credentials if it is valid, and if it is valid, it will return in the form of JSON format. Now, Angular application basically uses API endpoint and passes the username or basically password which a user can click on by clicking on the login button. Now, to implement authentication, we'll need to create a login page to a client which at the endpoint will always be an API to confirm the user from your server. Your server will always verify these credentials and make sure if they are valid. And the token in the JS or JavaScript JSON object that contains information about currently logged in user. Now we can utilize both on the client on server side to identify the user. Now instead of comparing authentication and authorization, I might say that both hand in hand will comprise your application to have your authenticated application. Basically, authentication verifies the user's identity and accesses the permission, and authorization is the need to authorize your information. Now, if the users can't provide their identity, they cannot access the system. And if you're authenticated by proving the current identity, but you're not authorized to perform a specific function, also you won't be able to access that. However, both these security methods are used often together. Now, let's see how usage of API for authentication is done. So there are several steps here in usage of API. The first step is for creating REST API. Now, for creating REST API, you need to initialize project, install everything the project requires, run your project, test the application, and establish MongoDB, and hence build your REST API endpoints. Now API here is registration of new user, login of new user, fetching regular events, and fetching special events, which we will look into in our demonstration session. The next thing is handling request. Now there are two types of request as we all know, get and post. In get request, we use .get function as an operator, and in post, we use .post function as an operator. In GET request, we can handle the GET request and get the request to the home page. And in POST, it will send the request to the home page. Now we'll also be using Postman for our authentication. Why do we do this? Because in order to make sure that our application is authenticated, the client needs to access the data securely. We need to involve authenticating the sender for the request and verifying the permission in order to access or manipulate the relevant data. For this, we use an application or a tool known as Postman. Now, basically, Postman is the tool that is used in order to verify any kind of APIs. Now, you can pass GET request or POST request in your Postman. We'll see that in our Postman section. But if you're building integrated third-party API, the required authentication will be specified by the API provider. And if you enter your auth details or your authentication details in your authentication tab, Postman will automatically populate all the relevant parts of your request to your chosen authentication type, be it GET or POST. The next thing is usage of services. Now, services is something that has been primarily used in our Angular applications. It is used in order to reduce our redundancy of the code. Now, here in authentication process, we should use services in order to avoid login and logout different function usages. It should also include method for retrieving our JSON web token from wherever it is stored on the client, and it is a way to determine if the user is authenticated or not. Basically, authentication service is used to log in and log out of your Angular application. It also notifies other components if it is logged in or logged out and allows the user to be logged in. With that, let's dive into the demonstration part of our application. Before we get started with the demonstration, let's look into the use case scenario for today. So here I've created a demonstration application. The first thing that we're going to see is, we see events here. These are random sample events which we can access. Next, we have members in our navigational column. Here, the same events are being accessed, but which are private. We have login sheet and registration sheet. The use case is a person who is a member or logged in or registered only will be able to access the events which are in members column, while the events here is public and for anyone. So in order for us to access and make it accessible to only members, the person must be logged in or registered user. Now, here's what we will be doing. We will be creating a login form, a registration form, and we'll be creating bunch of events. In both events and members, we'll be creating a navigational bar where we can access all of the tabs. We'll be creating routing, and we'll create services, and using these services, we'll create each of the component. So let's go ahead and do all of these. Now, firstly, I begin with creating a folder. Now I'm going to call my folder as Angular Auth. Now this has been done by my editor, Visual Studio Code. So I'm using Visual Studio Code as my editor. You can use any editor of your preference. So once I created Angular Auth, I'm going to create a folder name as server. So how to create server? Let's go ahead and see that. So firstly, I'm just going to dive into my Angular Auth folder, and here I'm going to choose a new folder option, and which will give me a new folder. So if I say new folder, it will dive into a new folder column. And here I can name this folder as I wish. So here I've named it as server. Now getting into the server, I'll walk you through whatever I have done, and we'll understand how we've reached to our application. Now the first step in our server is to create our package.json. So for that, I'll be using this command, which will install my package.json. That will be npm init -- yes. Now you have to give that in your terminal. Just say npm install -- yes. When you hit enter, it will redirect you to this particular file. Now this folder has everything for you to perform your applicational process. The next thing is to install your middleware, that is our body parser. Now to do that, the command used is npm install express body parser -- save. You give that in your terminal. it will install your body parser. Now, once you do that, the next step is to create a folder known as server.js. This is a JavaScript file for us to add everything that we need from our server side. So once we create that, we need to import our const body parser, express server, and also CORS. Now this is a feature that we need to make sure we have in order for our application to run hassle-free. The next thing, we need to make sure that we give our port number, which is 3000. Make sure we give our APIs. Now the next thing is to give our body parser JSON. Now once you do that, make sure you give your get API as well. This is to make sure that we get our request and response from the server. And we can just say or send a message saying hello from server. That is, when you get into the port number 3000, the server will be activated if the server is responding. Now the next thing is to listen to the request from any specific ports. For that, we have to give a listen, specify the port number, and console log saying server is running on localhost, specifying the port number. Now with that, we can make sure our MongoDB is working. For that, go back to your terminal. Now in your terminal, make sure you're in your CD server. That's your directory should be server, and then give the command node server. Now once you give this, it will make sure your server is being connected to your MongoDB. So you should be receiving the message connected to MongoDB. Once this happens, you can go back to our browser and check if it is running in the port. Now back in our browser, as you can see, I have come to my localhost 3000. It says hello from server, which means our server is responding. Now, since we'll be performing different routers or different pages, as said in layman language, we need to have each and every route for each and every page. Now, for that, we need to be creating our different routes. So let's go back to our editor. Now, in order for us to have different routes, we'll create a folder. So for that, I'll create a folder named as routes. And in that, I'm going to create a file, again, a JavaScript file known as api.js. Now here, I'm going to call all my routes. So here, the first thing that I'm going to be doing is call my const express server. Now, the next thing is to make sure that I get my request and response from my API route. And then I'm going to module export the routers. So this will do our work. Now the next thing is to tell our server to use this particular route. So for that, I'm going to go back to my server.js. Now here in my server.js, I'm going to call API and say routes API, which means fetch my API from the routes folder and then use this particular API. The rest will stay the same. And now we can go back to our browser. Now here in my browser, if I say 3000/API, it says from API route, which means it's fetching my data from that API. Now the next step is to set up our MongoDB. Now let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing that we need to do in order for us to set up MongoDB is we need to install Mongoose. Now we can go back to our terminal, just say this command npm install -- save mongoose. When we do that, our mongoose has been installed and set up to run. So the next thing is in our server folder, we create models. Now in models, we're going to create a file named user.js. Now here in user.js, we're going to give our schema. This is because we need our email and password for our registration and login. So we install Mongoose and then we install our schema. After calling it by const, we create a user schema in the format of email, string, password, also string. We again module export this and then pass user with our user schema. Now, whatever DB operations you want to be performing, it should be performed in your api.js. So here, your DB link should be pasted. Now the server number should be pasted here. Where do you get this? Go to your MongoDB. In your MongoDB, here you get your server number. Now take that, or you can even say whatever link that has been present over here can be copied and you can go ahead and paste it over here. Now EventsDB is the database that I created. Now if you go back to your MongoDB, I just created a database named EventsDB. Here in my EventsDB, there's something called as users. Users is my collection name. While you create your DB, there will be a section to update your collection name. You can give that over there. Now once you do that, you can set up a DB to your link. Now similarly, you have to connect your DB and your error message. Your error message should be error if the server is not connected, or just say connected to Mongo. Now once you do this, make sure you run the same command node server, and once you do that, connected to MongoDB should be displayed. Now this means our server is set up and ready to proceed. Now the next thing is to call my API. So that is done by our post call. So here what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use a post, and for registering, I'm going to register request and response, and I'm going to take the user data in the body format. Now here what I'll do is, I'll set it to the new user and then save this and console the error and return my status as 200 if it is successful. So this way my post request has been made. Now once we have done this, the next step is to test this API in our Postman. Now as we've discussed in the theory, I'll be walking through what Postman is. So firstly, go to your Google and search for Postman. Just say Postman tool. So here when you go to your website, you will find download the app. Once you download Postman, you will see this particular tool being appeared. Now here in this tool, I'll walk you through whatever I've done here. So the first thing you see in this tool is a new page. Here I'll say request, or you don't have to consider anything. So here first thing that I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to pass this particular URL as my API. Now this should be post. Make sure you have set this to post. Now as I'm checking for my register post API, I'm going to set the URL as register. The next thing that you're going to do is come to headers. Make sure you select the content type. Just say content type here. Now once you've done that, make sure your value is set to application JSON. Again, just go ahead and say application, and then you'll find application JSON here. Come to body, say raw. Now whatever the default might be, just make sure it is in raw. Select JSON as well. And here the next task is to give your email ID and password in the same format that you have given in your schema. Now I'll just say email as a.com and password as a. Now when I do that, I will just send to my server. Now once that is happening, as you can see here, a token is being passed. Now this will happen in our further ahead, but what you'll actually see is, let me walk you through MongoDB here. If I say refresh, my object ID and email ID, this will be passed as the same format in my Postman as well. Now, since I can see my Postman record being recorded into my MongoDB, this will declare that my data is being passed to my server. Now, similarly, make sure you do the same thing for login as well. Again, give a post API, give your user data in the format of body, convert this by saying if it is error. Now, if it is not error, the user, if it is invalid, make sure you show it as invalid email. And if there is invalid password, make sure the user is being notified as invalid password. And also, the next thing is, I'm going to send a status in 200 as token here, but you can send it as it is. Now, when you come back to your Postman here, in our URL, make sure instead of register, you give login, because you're checking for login URL. And here, all I'm going to do is, I'm going to enter an invalid password. Now, our database is storing as password for this particular user as A. Say I give my password as B and send, it's going to say invalid password, which means our application is working perfectly. Now, similarly, I'll give my password as A, but then my email ID as B and send this. You can see it says invalid email. This way, our authentication for our login and registration both are working properly. Now let's proceed. Now the next step is to create our APIs. Now for that, we need to create Events API and similarly Special API. As you saw in my front end, I created events for normal users and special for logged in or registered users. Here, I've just used the array of elements. Now, this is the ID and name and description date. Similarly, I've just copied all the particular details for every user. So I've used 6 users here. So once I did that, I'm just going to call this as JSON events because my result should be in JSON format. But again, if you go back to your browser and check it, you will see the JSON format. With this, we can proceed to our client side. Now, until here, we have covered most of our authentication process. We have set up our MongoDB. We saw how we can work our Postman and pass our APIs to see whatever is being entering into our login and registration. Now, the next step is to look into our services. For that, we need to create our client side. Here, I have created a folder known as ng-app. Now, once you do that, make sure you open this folder and here you go ahead and create another folder known as events, login, register, and special events. These are different components that you have to create in order for your application to be component-wise. As you saw, I have added routes for each of it, which is a login, register, events, and special events. If we go back to our browser and see what this is, you can see that we have added routes for each of it. Now this is why we need to keep each of it in a different component. Just to remind you, the command used to create each of the component is ng space g space c and the component name. In this case, events for event component, login for login component, register for register component, special events for special event components. This way, we'll create each of it. Now, to create our project, we have a bunch of steps that has been involved, which you can find the link given in the description box below. You can follow any of the Angular videos done by Edureka in order to understand how we can set up the project and make sure we are starting up with the coding. So the next thing that I'm going to walk you through is my routing module. Now, whenever you create your application, it will ask if you want routing to be involved. Just say yes when you do that. And here I have created different routing techniques for my application to be working. So the first thing that we have to do is import your components. Now all my components have been imported here and my routes and router module should also be imported. With that, we can see our routes that has been added. Now here I have added my routes as arrays. Each of my path is being considered as one element. Now here, the first thing by default, it will direct to events. So without any path given, just as 4200, it will direct to events. The next thing is event path, which will redirect you to events component. Special path, which will redirect you to special component. Login path, which will redirect you to login, and similarly register to register. Make sure you imported and injected your router modules as well. The next and important factor is setting up your index.html. Make sure your index file, which is a HTML file, is set up properly and to be working. Now you can find this link in the Bootstrap website. This is to make our application visibly delight. The next thing is app.component.html, which is again a root HTML component file. Now here, I have used basic HTML tags, which I don't think anyone needs to be walking through. Now here I have used a navigation tag and an anchor tag. Make sure it is collapsible. With that, I have added router link, events, special, login, and register as well. Now, with that, in order for our router to be working correctly, make sure you give the tag for the router to be rendered into your component. The tag is router outlet. The next thing is to set up our registration component. Now here, again, I've considered basic HTML, and this is in the form format. And when you use form format, you need to make sure that form modules is being installed. Now that is done in app.module.ts. Now here, make sure your form module is installed in your app.ts module, which is your root module file. Come back to HTML, and here my header is being given as a register. Similarly, make sure you register, give a required button for password and for email as well. With that, make sure you add ng model, as this is a form module and it should make sure all your entities of form being installed. Now, the class user registration for email and password should be called upon your ng module. Why we use this? So that we get our data and have a connection to our server side. Now we can make changes with respect to the same in our TypeScript file. If we go back here, we create a property, register user data, and over here we call our register user, and this function has been authenticated and used to call our server side, so that whatever data we enter into our registration form, it has been taken and been considered by our MongoDB. Now here we get into another important aspect, adding services. So services can be added here in order for us to access our authentication service. Now authentication service stores every particular operation that has been required and reused by our registration and login forms. So for that, the command used is ng space g space s, which is for service, and your service name. I have given the same command, and when you hit enter, you will have two files that has been created. One is author service spec file and another is author service TypeScript file. We don't need spec file. So here in our TypeScript file, the first thing that you need to do is you need to have the inject. Next, because we are using service for our HTTP client, make sure you import our HTTP. With that, you can have a registration URL and login URL. Now we know what is URLs for both registration and login, so we give the same here, API/registration and API/login. Now once you do that, make sure you create registration user and login user as well. And once this is done, connect this service to your component. So coming back to our registration, here, going back to our TypeScript file, give your auth service here. Now that our authentication service has been created, we can give our auth service. Now once this is done, make sure you give your authentication service and subscribe your result as well. Now only console log is being used here. Going back to our browser, I say a new email ID, let's say C, and I say register. You can see the token is being added. How you add this token, I'll walk you through. Now, as you can see, as soon as you register, you will get access to your special events. Now going back to our editor, now the next thing is to do the same thing as we did in register for our login. So again, if I have to walk through, use the same HTML code, I have used the same TypeScript file, use the same authentication service. Here our redundancy can be reduced as I've used the same service as I've used for registration. The same thing I am consoling and the same user data is being used, except here it is login and there it is registration. Calling our auth service, going back to our browser and seeing, as login involves using the same data as we have used, you can see again our special events is being accessed. The next step is to create a service so that our responses are being sent to our server side. So again, if we go back to our service, Here, as I showed you earlier, this was just a message. But here, we are creating a service so that it can be sent to our backend. The difference between earlier is that whatever response that we saw was being consoled. Now, I mentioned you have to be using console here. But here, what we are doing is, instead of consoling it, we are going to send as post into our server. Now, once you do that, make sure you store it in token format. Now you get it, how our messages are being displayed in a token format. Although we receive just the token, our sensitive information is stored in our server side. With this, we will complete our registration and our login. The next part is events. For our clean code purposes, what we'll do is we'll create services for our login and registration in authentication service, and similarly we'll create one more service for all our events called as event. Now again, for creating service, the command used is ng space g space s, your service name. In this case, it is event. Once I do that, our event service will be created. Here, just like I have added services into my authentication service TypeScript file, I'll be using event service TypeScript file here. And just like in our authentication service, call your events and pass it as a get into your server. And also, your events URL should be mentioned along with your special events URL. Now, as you know, the next step is to call these services in our components. Go to your components, import your service, and inject your service. Similarly, in your events, import your service, inject your service. As we have done in our components of login and registration, do the same thing and subscribe your response and your error into the console. I've done the same thing here for special events as well. So this will complete our event section as well. The next step is to create our client-side format for our events. Now for that, I'm going to open HTML file, and as you can see, there is a basic format for our front end. Here, I've just used number of cards and I'm dynamically calling my events name description. And also I've used a dummy button known as book event. This is just for our UI purposes, and our date format as well, which is coming dynamically. Now again, similarly, in our special events as well, the same format is being used. The next thing is to create our JSON Web Token or JWT. Now, using this, we can come to the end of today's session. So in order to create a JSON Web Token, the command that has been used is npm install JSON Web Token space -- save. Now, you have to do that in your server side. So make sure you're in your server folder and give this command which says install JSON Web Token save. Now, once you do that, our JSON will be installed. So let's go back to our server side and check all that. Now here in my server folder, I'll go back to my API. And here in API, the first thing that we're supposed to do is we're going to call JWT or JSON Web Token. Now, once you do that, make sure you update your post call. And in post call, you have to call your payload. Now, payload will store the object. The object is your registered user. Now, give the subject as a registered user, set token, and this token can be sent. And whatever key that you're seeing while each of the data is being entered, it is stored in the token format, and give the payload as secret key. This token will be displayed whenever you enter your data so that it wouldn't be visible to any particular user. Now here, you might understand that every data that I give in my UI, it has been taken as token. So let's go back to our UI and have a visual of it. Here, as you can see, if I have to inspect, going to my console, my data is being passed as token. Now here, we can keep our data encrypted. Now let's go ahead and see how our JWT is used from our front end side. So we'll go back to our front end. So here, let me get into my registration TypeScript file. And as you can see, I have used local storage and setting my item to token with response as token. Now, as you saw there, I have set my response to token, and here I'm using my response as token. I do the same thing in my login TypeScript file as you see here. I have set my local storage item to token. This will do the work. Let's go back to our browser and check this. Now here in my browser, I'll go to my register. I'll just give a new name or a new data, new password. And here I'll go to my applications, and in applications, select your application here. Just say register and you see the token. Also, you see as soon as you register, it has been entering into your members. Similarly, it will happen with login as well. So with this, we have come to our end of today's session. We have done our authentication as well. As you saw, we went back to our registration. Only if you register will it be redirected to your members. Now similarly, if you log in and say login, it will take to special events folder. So this way our application is authenticated. Now this brings us to the end of today's session. Of course, here we have used basic features for authentication. I recommend you to go ahead and try advanced features of authentications as well. Now, using basic features might not give you the privilege of being authenticated completely and accurately. But when you're using this particular authentication technique in huge development of websites and applications, you might have to be careful and use a lot more techniques in order for your authentication to be working apt and perfectly. I hope this session was helpful. Until we meet again next time, happy learning.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!